What do the following questions have in common? Are we going to be on our best behavior? Are we prepared for our test today? When are we going to get this house clean? Any guesses? Those are all questions in which we really means you, right? We sometimes do that. We mix up our singular and plural a little bit. We may say we, but we really mean you. And then sometimes we say or hear we, but we really think me. And, well, we get kind of confused about it. This morning, we are going to begin with some familiar words from the beginning of Matthew's gospel. And this comes just after, that Joseph has received a visitor in a dream. An angel came to him and told him to go ahead and marry this girl, Mary, that although they were already legally engaged and he just found out she was pregnant and he knew it couldn't be his baby, this angel said, "It's from the Holy Spirit. Take him as your own child and name him Jesus. This is so that what the prophets have told will be fulfilled. Look, a virgin will become pregnant and give birth to a son, and they will call him Emmanuel." Emmanuel means God with us. Let us hear what the Spirit is speaking to God's people. Oftentimes when we try to describe Emmanuel, this idea of God with us, we talk about maybe a personal encounter with God, a special experience where we felt God particularly close, maybe in a time of great difficulty, a time in our lives when we were unsure or scared, or something terrible had happened. And we think of God with us in that sense of a very personal relationship. And that is true, and that's absolutely real. God is with us intimately and personally. But that's not all. Because, see, when Matthew quotes this verse, he's quoting from the prophet Isaiah. And I think it's safe to assume that Matthew understood the context of the prophet, his speech in Isaiah, and was using it for a reason. Right? I mean, I think that would be a logical assumption. And so Isaiah was speaking these words to the nation of Israel in a time of very intense threat. The Assyrians were coming, and they would topple the northern kingdom, the kingdom of Israel. And what Isaiah was saying was yes, this is happening. This is going to happen. It will turn our world upside down. But the birth of a child is God's promise that God will not abandon us. See, this means that God is intending to save us from the Assyrians, of course, in his time. And so Matthew takes that into account, that context, when he calls upon the words of the prophet. And he, I believe, is intending to say that that promise of the birth of a child, in this case, the promise of the birth of Jesus, means that a great transition is coming. A time of transformation, a time after which nothing will be the same. But we can trust, we can stay strong and faithful because we know that it's God's promise that God will still be there, that God is still in control, that God has not and will not abandon us. What's interesting to me in that context now that we have God with us, that when we hear it today, most often we hear it, as I said, very personally. But see, it says, Matthew and the prophet Isaiah said, Emmanuel means God with us, not God with me. There's a reason. There's a reason that Emmanuel means God with us, and in this context, it is with the community of faith. God is with all of us, and not just in that individual sense, which again I said is true, it's not incorrect. But I think we miss part of it because Matthew is saying God is with us once again. Just as God was with the people in Isaiah's time when the northern kingdom fell, did eventually bring them back. God is still in control. There's another grand change coming. But still, God's people can be faithful. We can trust because God is with us. Now, what if we take that the next logical step further? Today, I think we are also on the cusp of a great transition. Our world is changing quite rapidly, and the rate of change has increased exponentially over the last 100 years. And I believe that the promise of Emmanuel today is that, yes, things are changing. There is great transformation afoot. And God is still with us. And the us here that we can especially hold on to is Jesus. But of course we know that now Jesus completed his time on earth, and when he did, he said to the church, the brand new baby church, you take on what I started. So, we, the us with whom God is, are to be God with us to the world. The church, see, I think it is the church's calling that when we see hurt or hunger or darkness or evil, the church steps into that space and says, God is still with us. We are not alone. You are not alone. We are here, and that proves that God is still with us. This church has done this inspirationally, been God with us to many, many people. Not only those of us in this room, and I know the families among you who have felt God's presence through the presence of this church when you were suffering or grieving, and the church has come alongside you. I believe that if the good news is that God is with us, and this good news is for us, then it is for us to share. If the good news is for us, that we are to be the good news, then we are to share that good news. There's often a false dichotomy between different parts of the church, different traditions, just even different groups within the same church. Some people lean more toward the side of saying, we need to tell people about the good news of Jesus and help, when we can. And those people have to guard against the temptation that James speaks to when he says that if we just tell our neighbor, oh, we're really sorry that that's happening to you, go and be well, wish you luck, that if we do not then give them warmth and food, that our faith is empty, is dead. And then there are people that tend to lean the other direction, who say, we need to meet all the needs. We need to give all the money we can and give the blankets and the food, and here, give to everybody. But then sometimes they forget to say why and who they are representing. I I think, though, and I used to fall into that trap of thinking that you had to pick one of the or the other, but I really think they are the same, and we can, with one breath, say, God is with us. Here is help. It's the same good news. The good news that Jesus is God with us is the same thing as me sitting here and bringing you food when you're hungry, or sitting with you when you are lonely, or bringing you clothes, or letting you stay with me, or those can be done, should be done together. Because when we bring assistance, what we are saying, and I believe we can say with our mouths as well, is we are here because God is with us. You are not alone. Let us share. This church, and I have to say, it's so true for Morton Chapel as well. You're both so passionate about people in need. You see a need. Someone needs help. And you show up. You are there. You are saying, we, the church, Christ's body, are here for you. You are not alone. You will not walk alone. The recovery community, or the 12-step community, has a saying that if you want to keep it, you have to give it away. If you want to keep it, you have to give it away. And Matthew says much the same thing. So just a few chapters, if we flip over to chapter 5, hear these words of Jesus. You are the light of the world. A city on top of a hill can't be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a basket. Instead, they put it on top of a lampstand, and it shines on all who are in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before people so they can see the good things you do and praise your Father who is in heaven. Thanks be to God. We are the light. Christ is the light of the world. The incarnation of God. And then Christ gave to us, not me, not you, gave to us all the responsibility of carrying on his work. And so, when we hear it this season, Emmanuel, O come, Emmanuel, God is with us. Let us also think, and we are us, to others. We are God with us to the world. What would it be like? What would it be like if the church, let's just start with us right here, okay? What would it be like if when we heard that there was a need, that say we discovered that there were hungry children in our community, the church says, oh no, not on my watch, not on our watch. We are here. God is with us, and thus God is with you. Eat. We brought snacks. Right? What if when the church became aware that there was pain and suffering, that there were people abused and harmed, that the church walked into that space of darkness and danger and said, but God is still here. We are here and God is with us, so God be with you. What if the church, that's my dream, what if the church led in all of those ways? The church, there was just nowhere the church was afraid to go, because we know that God is with us. And when we are doing what Christ has called us to do, we are God with us for others. That, my friends, is a beautiful future that we are building here. Because you have already been doing that as a community. And I am excited about the ways that God is working that we are as yet unaware. But I believe that together we can when we spot darkness or despair, that we can show up in the midst of it and say, let there be light. God is with us. We are not alone. Neither are you. So I kind of made a promise on your behalf. And I hope that you are now sufficiently inspired that you will say yes. Okay? You got to back me up on this, because we have someone in our community who needs help. And we have lots of people who need assistance from time to time, but this person is special. She found herself in some very unfortunate and unusual circumstances. She's 18 years old, and she has a baby who's going to be 2 about Christmas time. And she, I will just say, overnight had to figure out how to adult. Because one day she was a normal teenager living with her mom, and the next day she was not. Her mom was gone, and so she had to figure it out overnight. And praise God, someone who we had previously helped told her, I know a place we can go, and brought her here. And we helped her with the rent that, of course, she didn't know how to pay or what to pay it with. And we've helped her, and I told her that this church loves her and would not let her go this alone. I told her that you would be with her. Will you be with her? She needs a family. She needs to know that God is there. And so far, me and Luan and Greg have been gathering up stuff that we have, and we will help her get into the housing authority and get that application, pushed through, and she should get an apartment this week. But she doesn't have much. And so we are looking for, a few things like she needs a bed. And, if you have a spare kitchen table or chairs, something that might work for that. If you have some extra household goods and maybe, some pots and pans, we're starting from scratch pretty much. So, but I told her that y'all loved her and would not let her be alone. You'll do that for me, right? You'll do that for her? Thank you. I'll finish with this. Our founder, John Wesley, when he was on his deathbed, it is reported that his last words were, "The best of all is God is with us." And he said it twice. The best of all is God is with us. And I told that to Maxine yesterday, and she agreed and knew. And so I wanted to share that we are all going this together. We are not alone. None of us are alone. And together, we can show the world that God is still with us. They are not alone. There is only one we, are not alone. God is with us. And so I'll invite you to consider what it is that's next in your journey of faith. If you do not have a faith community or a church home, we would love for you to consider joining with us. We would be honored. We are not the perfect place. We don't always get everything right, but we are going to work it out together. We are committed to being together, and that none of us walk alone. And if you want to be a part of that, come and share that with me. If you perhaps have not dedicated your life to Christ and you would like to do that, we would love to celebrate that with you. So come and share that with me. If you're joining us online, you want to talk about either of those, you can get in touch with me there at our website or leave a message on Facebook and we will get that. We want you to know that you are all welcome and we are all on this journey together. So let us stand and sing this hymn of invitation or commitment that is not just about, it's not about Jesus, coming as a baby. Come again. Jesus, come today and be God with us. Let us sing.
Come, thou long-expected Jesus, born to set thy people free from our fears and sins. Release us, let us find our rest in thee. Israel's strength and consolation, hope of all the earth thou art, dear desire of every nation, joy of every longing heart. Born thy people to deliver, born a child and yet a king, born to reign in us forever. Now thy gracious kingdom bring, by thine own eternal Spirit, rule in all our hearts alone. By thine all-sufficient merit, raise us to thy glorious throne.
Indeed, may God be with us. May Christ be born in us again and reign in us forever. Let us go and be God with us to all of us. Amen.